I'm jumping back a year to the year 2007. The Hitcher, starring Sophia Bush, Zachary Knighton, and Sean Bean. This is a remake of a 1986 film of the same name. Now, I didn't see the original, but I did see this one. Now, I'll just say right off the bat, this movie suffered the same fate as Black Christmas. It was way too predictable. I predicted nearly everything in this movie before it even happened. There are a few things I liked about this movie, though. I did like when we first saw Sean's main character of John Ryder in the middle of the road. I love how we didn't move an inch when Jim almost crashed right into him. I also love how the camera showed him through the back window of the car, and of course, the car couldn't start as the kill of the movie was slowly approaching. So damn typical. But one of my favorite parts of this scene is how John Ryder was not even identifiable. He was just a black, shadowy figure in the middle of the road. You can't even tell who he was or anything. That was really cool. I love the scene where Jim and Grace were getting Ryder out of the car. I honestly didn't think they'd be able to do it, but they did do it, but obviously that wouldn't be the last they saw of the Hitcher. Later, when they saw the kids goofing around in the car, I knew they would see the Hitcher in the car. I just didn't know how Ryder would be revealed. It was pretty clever how he was holding that frog in front of himself and then letting it decide to reveal himself. So that was pretty cool. Even though it was predictable, I still liked the way Ryder was constantly framing them. Still, even though I did like it, it's still getting a little bit tiring always seeing the good guys getting blamed for the crimes that the bad guys committing. One thing that kind of took away from the feel for the movie were the backgrounds. It was painfully obvious that half of the backgrounds were paintings. The ending was just awesome. I mean, I really enjoyed it. But how couldn't the cop with Ryder tell that the Hitcher was trying to get out of the handcuffs? I mean, surely his facial expression gave it away that he was struggling to get out of them. But you gotta love how he practically mutilated his own wrists in order to get out of the handcuffs. And how about how the Hitcher slashed the guy's throat? Holy shit, that was gruesome. I could actually see some of his insides about to pour out. Now, I could tolerate violence and gore, but even that could gross me out a bit. Although it was awesome, there's no way that Grace's character could seriously survive a fire like that in the car. So that did kill a bit of the excitement I had while watching. I love how Grace said she wasn't running anymore after the cop was stuck on the car. The look of the determination on her face was really cool too. Did anybody think of Resident Evil when she was holding the shotgun approaching the Hitcher? I never actually saw the Resident Evil movie, but for some reason that sequence just reminded me of the movie. Anyway, I loved almost everything about the ending. The bulletproof vest the Hitcher was wearing made my anticipation grow even more. All those shots by Grace were just leading up to the inevitable death of the Hitcher. I liked how he didn't even try to kill Grace. He was like the Joker in that he just didn't care if he was going to die or not. When the Hitcher finally got down to his knees and Grace cocked the shotgun, he just said, "Feels good, doesn't it?" That was a chillingly awesome line, and Sean Bean delivered that line to perfection. Then when Grace simply responded with, "I don't feel a thing," then shot him in the face, it just felt like justice was served. I've got to say, though, that I was shocked that Jim was killed off. And man, what an awesome trap he was in. Being chained to two trucks with the imminent threat of being torn apart is just absolutely sick. That scene was really awesome. I loved how they built up the anticipation of it, with Sean Bean's character, John Ryder, constantly telling Grace to, pull the trigger, don't listen to the cops, because the cops were busting them. That ending just left me feeling fulfilled, and I can't say that about much of the horror movies I see, or even any of the movies I see for that matter. So overall, I thought The Hitcher was very enjoyable. I give this film a 7.6 out of 10. It was a pretty enjoyable film that had a few minor flaws that dragged things down a bit. It was a bit too predictable and too typical, but it was still a good movie. Well, that's about it. Thanks for watching, everybody.